Hello, trading has closed on March 28th, 2024. As always, we'll do our disclaimer, go over our calls, make some predictions. Also, it's the end of the week, end of the quarter. It's a good time to take a look at the long-term picture. It's my trading plan for Monday, which is April 1st, 2024. Please remember, I can be wrong. Trade at your own risk. Look for the pattern with the early low. That's this. Monday should have the early high. We had a candidate for a top. We said if it worked, we should drop pretty much right from the open. That didn't happen. If it didn't happen, I'd have no call. I'd have no plan. And this is what we said. These are the patterns we'll see next week. We did have a target, 52.1679. Came nowhere near it. We'll add it to the list. And later on today, we'll go over what happens when these things don't print. There were a number of moves during the day the system called as false, meaning they'd retrace this drop, this rally. They have already retraced, so that's already played out. We have an unusually large number of targets which haven't printed in their preferred time frame. There are two times when that tends to happen. One is during a major change in trend, and the other during a period of a strong impulsive move. So we're in this period of a strong impulsive move. We have a number of targets which haven't printed, and the question is, will they ever print? All I can do is show you the long-term track record. The system is going to be System is going to be 22 years old in a few months. Came up with it from June to August of 2002. These are a number of standard targets which haven't printed in almost 22 years. These are the number of weeks, and these are the number of ultimate targets. Now we get about 500 standard targets and 150 ultimate targets, 650 targets a year, just under 22 years. That's how many targets haven't printed. Now you might know this, we've never had a year like last year when 10 out of these 500 standard targets didn't print. I had one with 9, one with 7, nothing else comes close. That doesn't mean they'll print tomorrow. Doesn't even mean they'll print anytime soon. But in about 22 years, this would be a statistical outlier if we never saw them. I've never had 6 weeks where there were unfilled targets in all that time. So maybe this will be the first time. I can't say. So far, this year, we've had 4 standard targets over 4 weeks which haven't printed. So that's 14 of these targets over 10 weeks which haven't printed. And if you look back over past history, we've never gone through a stretch like that. It's stuck. At some point, you see the lower targets. I'm not calling for them now. I'm just showing you what the track record is. And if you think the lower targets won't ever print, it would be the first time. But now let's look at where we are. I mean, that's the future. This is the long-term wave count. I haven't changed it in a long time. From right here, I said this was a 3-wave structure, which it was a B wave. The pattern called wave C low within 3 decimal points, called this low within 3 decimal points. This is wave C low. There's ABC, and that's the C low. Called that within 3 decimal points. We've had an ABC, which has taken a generation to form. We're starting an impulse. You're not going to end an impulsive wave after a few months, after you spent over 20 years forming it. This has a lot higher to go, but it doesn't mean we're going to go there in a straight line. That's pretty long to go without a correction. Here was that wave C that we showed. That's this wave C, right here. And we're trying to count this wave here. And when it goes up in a straight line, it's pretty tough to do. I've had no trouble counting waves 1, 2, 3. Wave 4 is no problem. Wave 5 has been a challenge. I've had to get my eraser out a number of times. We're now at a point where wave 5 is at a Fibonacci target of waves 1 through 3. So we have to see if there's a way to count this wave. So let's focus it on wave blue 5. We had no trouble counting waves 1, 2, and red 3, but since then, once again, I've had to take my eraser out a number of times. But now we have a clear 5 waves up. And if you count that as 5 waves up, there is a count that works. We're keeping our wave red 3, that's wave red 4. And if this is wave red 5, those fibs work. And if you look at wave red 5 and you set it equal to 50%, you get an exact measurement of wave 3. And then you take 61.8% of wave red 3. You get exactly wave red 1. So you have the 61.8, 100, 50 ratio we see commonly when the market tops out. So there is a wave count that says this ends right here. Now if that's right again, you're going to have to drop right from the open. Just because that count works doesn't mean nothing else will. But those are the ratios one typically sees. You have a rejection of the break to a new high, and we have timing. Monday's pattern has a really high regardless of where we close. Prices broke out to a new all-time high, then rejected it by closing under multiple prior highs. And if that's maintained at the open, it should lead to lower prices Monday, regardless of where we close. Now March 30, that's over the weekend, is a Carolan timing hit. It's F18 from February 19, 2020. And March 31st, also over the weekend, is a square of 9 timing hit measured from the October 27th low of last year. There's a wave count which shows 5 waves being completed on multiple degrees. It's not the right time for the end of the bull. I think we have much further to go, but the elements are in place for the end of this leg if we start down. If we break today's low, it completes a Trader Vic 2B top. Now if we continue higher, that kills the idea. But if it doesn't happen, it could have a sizable correction starting from right here. The elements are pretty much there. All that isn't there is for us to start down. But that's 5 waves up on this degree. It's 5 waves up on multiple degrees. It's a rejection of the high. It's a square of 9 and a timing date. It doesn't have to work. I mean, if we keep going up, we keep going up. That's just the way it goes. But if we start down here, you can make the case for a pretty sizable drop for a pretty tradable drop, even though I think the bull market has a long way to go. I'm not betting money on it without some confirmation, but if we break from here, it should be tradable. It's the pattern with the early high. That doesn't tell us where we open. And that's today's call.